There has never been a more challenging time in the history of private investigations than right now for trying to keep up with what's going on in this industry, sources and methods that we use. Hi, this is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, which is premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. 21st century, things are moving faster than ever. More inventions, more technology, just more going on in our lives overall. Private investigators are not exempt from this. The things that are going on in our world are changing faster than any time in the generations in the last 100 years that our profession has really come into being. It wasn't that long before I got into this business where really private investigators had to get out of the office. They were called gumshoes, hit the street, use the shoe leather, develop sources, interview people, go out and look at a scene. These things have fallen by the wayside. There are many private investigators nowadays who do the bulk, almost all of their work, sitting behind a computer. If you followed me for any length of time, you know I kind of fall in between that. I think the computer is a great place to do a lot of skip tracing, research, preparatory work for getting out into the field. So now it becomes a question of how do you keep up on this information? You can be bombarded. You can spend your whole time training or trying to keep up with technology, with sources, with legislation that's always changing, and really spend a lot of time on that aspect. Feel like you're really doing well as an investigator, but then at the end of the month you look and you say, well, I haven't really taken any cases, I didn't make enough money. So how do you effectively learn what's going on and keep up to date? The trick is to use multiple sources, and that includes online sources, books, and even magazines or periodicals that come out regularly. Now the reason this comes up for me right now is because the latest issue of PI magazine has just come out, and an interesting feature article in there to me was about how to extract hidden information from photographs and images that you find online, specifically photos, I suppose. And this is called EXFIL data, EXFIL. And when a photo is taken with a modern smartphone, with a lot of modern cameras even, information is embedded into that photograph, things like aperture speed and f-stops and all sorts of information. And when you look at that information, you can tell almost a fingerprint of the camera that took that photo. Now this is very handy to know if you're investigating and you're looking at a series of photos and one of them matches differently. Maybe it's got a different time stamp, maybe it's got a different source, a different type of camera took the picture, and somebody's perpetrating like this was taken with all the other photos. You immediately can see, hey, something is wrong and different here, and this particular photo is suspect. Very interesting thing that's hidden in that EXFIL data many times, because people have location services turned on their phones. Many times the GPS coordinates of where that photo were taken are hidden in that photo EXFIL data also. Now there's a variety of ways to look for and discover this EXFIL data. I'm not going to get into that here because things are always changing, but there are some good free online sources for it. Always be careful when you're using free sources online because they've got something in it for them. But the reason that this even comes up at all now, and this is the first time I'm talking about this hidden data online, is because of the time lag of when this was discovered and talked about and exploited. So here we are in 2018, the latest issue of PI magazine comes out with an article featuring this information. But if you're using multiple sources of information, including online and books, you would have discovered this long ago. Now, does this mean PI magazine is not a good source? No. I love to support it. I love print media. I subscribe to it. But if you had gotten my book, 51 Dirty Tricks Bad Guys Really Hate, when it first came out, I don't know, at least a couple years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago now, you would have found a very concise little chapter in there. One of the dirty tricks is about using this EXFIL data and a particular case where it had dire consequences. So that's in 51 Dirty Tricks Bad Guys Really Hate. If you're using multiple sources to learn information, including books from reputable sources, magazines, online, you're going to learn this information and be clued into it before everybody else in the industry. Now, it does not take a lot of time or money or energy to do this. This can be done in 10 minutes in the morning, maybe at the most. Some people like to use different kinds of alerts that if something pops up online, they're alerted to it using keywords like maybe privacy hack or something like that, security, private investigator, legislation. It can very quickly come to you. Again, PI Magazine does a pretty good job every month of keeping up on legislative changes and public records changes that are out there. So use a variety of sources. Don't spend a ton of time or money or energy on this, but keep up to date one way or another. If you like this information, if you like what I'm talking to you about here, be sure to check out my free report titled "If You Want to Be a Private Investigator, Give Up Unless You Do These 3 Things." That free report's on the homepage at shadowanyone.com. And I do tip a lot in there that I think you'll find interesting. If this type of thing, keeping up to date, knowing special sources, if that's interesting to you, of interest to you, be sure to check out that free report. This is Larry Kaye with shadowanyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.